Welcome to Rom Wills, Money Matters. Levels of work, ownership. Now, this the main one. This the main one that I really inspire or want to inspire many men and women to really get into. Actually being an owner. See, the service and management, they don't own. And even remember what I was saying about even CEOs. They can be fired because somebody owns it. Usually those major corporations are owned by stock owners. And those stock owners usually have a place on the board of directors. And if they decide they don't like what the CEO is doing, they can fire them. See, service can be fired, management can be fired. The thing about ownership, whether you have a business that's making $50,000 a year or you have a business that's making $50 million a year, if you owner, you only have to answer to yourself. And I'm gonna be real. I would highly recommend that as best as possible, everyone get to that point of ownership. Even in my book, Nice Guys and Players, one of the things I suggested for a man was to own his own business. Even if he has a job or career or something that's making six figures. Think about it. Even if you're making six figures, it's always good to have something on the side. Not even for emergency, but just to feel like you can control. Because when you have ownership, that gives you freedom. It really does. No matter what you're doing, it gives you freedom. Now, yeah, you don't want to be in a position where you just like deciding which customer you're going to deal with or you're going to get bad service because you got freedom. No, but you still have freedom on what you want to do, what type of business, how well you want to do it. And you still have control. And you can't fire yourself. You can't fire yourself, but you have total control over how you want things to go. And see, that's the highest level is ownership. When someone owns something, and sometimes I mentioned like in the last episode, I mentioned CEOs. Now you do have some owners who are also the CEOs. That's different. That's different. And that you can actually control what you're doing better. And ownership is like you don't have to answer to anybody. Like, okay, I own what I do. I own what I do. I don't have to work for anybody. I can get up when I want to do this. When I'm recording this, I got up a little earlier than I usually would to record this. And then I can do something else. Like when I do record my videos for the Money channel, I edit them, upload them, and then I'm good for the day. But that's ownership. You can decide what you want to do. And then if you're in business, as I always say, do something that you like to do. But that's ownership. And it's usually if you're smart, you're doing something that you enjoy, that you feel a calling towards, that you enjoy doing. It's not even work to you. In fact, you're looking at it as like it should be fun to you. Yeah, it could be hard on one level, but on the same level, it's something you want to do. When it's something that you want to do, it's not as hard. Then you also have better control over your destiny. You still got to deal with the public and everything and their shopping habits or, whether they buying your product or using your service, but you still have control over it. But it's still a level of work because you're still working. But the only difference is you're not dependent on someone else. One of the things, if you're in a service position, is that, you always have to deal with personalities. And we've all been there. Like I said, on my 1,000 jobs, I've probably been in all of the positions. In a service position, you still have to deal with a manager. That's one of the reasons I said it. Like my last full-time job, I was in management, but there was always a manager ahead of me. And then, they want to start some trouble. There was about to be, the police were about to be involved. Didn't need that. You know, so that sped up me just being full-time, just being an owner. See, you got to deal with that. You always have to answer to, see, if you're in the first two, you always have to answer to somebody. Most of this country has to answer to somebody. Most of this world has to answer to somebody. But when you're in an ownership position, yeah, you have to answer to your customers, but you can choose how you want to deal with them. Now, if you're smart, you're dealing with them in a way that'll keep them coming back. If you're just whatever, you can probably lose a customer, but that's something else. That's still your choice. You know, and that's where you want to be, because like I said, you still own it. Now, there's still another type of owner where people just, you have some people, they just buying stock and stuff like that. Those are rare though. Those are rare, people who just own stock all over the place, because usually they had to work to get money to even get to that point. But we all work. We all work. It's just a matter who's your boss, what position you at. And the best one in my view, is being that owner. You own that business. You make a choice when you want to go to that business, when you want to do something. You're making the choice. I want y'all to think about that. See, and that's why, you know, that's why if you really look at, like when I first started this channel, I was focused mainly on business ownership, making money in that way. And then, you know, I said some people, you know, they weren't so much in business, but then they had to be in money management. And I gradually expanded that to talk about just a mindset, just dealing with money. All of that's important. But I'm gonna tell you what, you wanna think about ownership. You wanna think about ownership. Like one of the things I really recommend it. Like think about what type of business can you own? And then you really, not just think about the business you can own, but really research it. Is it something you can do? Is it something you want to do? And not just because it might make some money, but because you have something in your heart you want to do it. You got to think about that. You got to think about, okay, what do you need to learn? Do you need to get certified, educated? What do you need to do for this business to work? But the thing is, it's still on you. You still have control. You know, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Just being an owner, it feels good just to have the time to do the things I want to do. Now, y'all remember roughly a year ago, I had a stroke, but because of how everything was set up, I was still making money. I was still making money. All my bills stayed paid, everything. The house stayed paid, everything stayed paid. But I was in an ownership position. If I was in a service position or a management position, it would strongly depend on the work itself. And even then, I wasn't in a position to really, if I was working for someone else, say if I was in a service position, there was a few months I couldn't work. Or a management position, still couldn't go into work. But being a business owner, that is very powerful. I want you to think about that too. And also just think about the levels of work. Now what I shared this week on levels of work is more for a perspective. People have to start thinking about money differently and how it's being made. And that's part of my mission on this particular channel. Money matters. You got to think about it, all right? So anyway, though, that's all I have for today. And I'll get back with y'all next week, okay? And I want y'all to really think about everything I talked about. Like just, look up some stuff yourself. But ultimately, you want to get to a place of ownership, all right? Anyway, I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings. Oh, wait, I keep forgetting what I'm supposed. I'm hitting y'all with the stuff. I got so many channels. Let's go make that money.